Meet Danilo Tucci, a man who has always dreamed of becoming a Formula One driver, but who spends his days working in a mozzarella cheese factory. His wife, Maria, loves nothing more than cooking pizza Frita, and every single day their routine is exactly the same. The whole family cooks mozzarella together, and even though they have never once tasted pizza or spaghetti, their simple life already feels like enough. Their daughter Tamara works as a cashier at a supermarket, so she never becomes a burden. She has a younger brother named Kevi, who is by far the smartest one in the family. Living under the same roof is Marcelo, Maria's younger brother, a fruit farmer whose favorite hobby is crossbreeding one plant with another. And finally, there is the grandmother, whose favorite pastime is watching soap operas, but only if the actor is handsome and can speak Arabic. Because the family is poor, Maria still faithfully buys lottery tickets, hoping one number will finally come through. Then one night, out of nowhere, everything changes. As the winning numbers are announced, Maria assumes she is match 3 at best and reaches over to switch off the television. But the numbers keep matching, all the way to the 6th combination. In a single night, this family that has always lived in poverty has just won millions of euros. This is poor, but rich. They are rich now, but Danilo insists that nobody can know. Marcelo does not understand why, but the rest of them get it immediately. The neighbors have a habit of borrowing money, so if word got out, they would come straight over asking to borrow millions. That is why KB suggests the smartest possible plan. The family will keep winning a secret and pretend they are still poor. 1 week after the money is transferred, they decide to withdraw just a small amount, enough to order some pizza. To make sure nobody sees them, they take turns keeping watch while Danilo and Maria handle the ATM. But the moment they step up, a neighbor appears. Thinking fast, Danilo claims the money is only 20 euros for Kevi's circumcision. The neighbor still assumes they are poor, so he does not get suspicious at all, and the family finally cashes out their money.
È bellissimo.
Marcelo, meanwhile, runs into trouble on watch duty. A priest calls him over, and Marcelo panics and says he has come to confess his sins. Strangely, the priest asks whether Marcelo has just won the lottery. Marcelo denies it, but the priest is asking everyone in town the same question. Anyone who confesses to winning is expected to make a donation for the community. Back home, the plan starts to crack. Kevi buys himself an automatic vacuum cleaner, Marcelo shows up with an iPhone, and Tamara buys an iPad so the grandmother can watch Asian dramas before bed. Danilo, who has spent his whole life being frugal, forbids any more spending. But the grandmother has her own leverage. She demands a 120-inch television and threatens to tell the whole town about the lottery if she does not get it. Danilo and Marcelo cave immediately and take her to buy it. Getting the television home is a problem. The nosy neighbor somehow always knows when Danilo has money, and he shows up right as they are unloading it. Danilo tries to pass the giant box off as empty, but the neighbor's not fooled. So Danilo switches tactics and claims they stole the television because they had no money to buy one. The neighbor decides that if it is stolen, it has to be thrown away, or he will report them to the police. Danilo and Marcelo have no choice but to dump it. Though they secretly plan to come back for it that night. The next day at the factory, Danilo learns that being rich around poor neighbors is not easy. A co-worker openly admits he would borrow millions from the winner if he ever found out who it was. Then Danilo's boss suddenly fires him, claiming a smarter new employee has taken his place. Fed up, Danilo snaps and blurts out that he is now the richest man alive, the one who won the lottery. And just like that, the secret is out. Danilo rushes home and admits everything has gone wrong. The whole town now knows they are the winners, so they have to leave immediately. As crowds gather outside, the family packs up and finally stops pretending. Maria even cries with joy that they can be genuinely rich now. Their destination is Milan, but on the road they hear the grandmother's voice come through the radio, being interviewed live. They forgot her back at the house, so they quickly turn around to grab her before she spills everything. After a full day of driving, the Tucci family arrives in Milan to start a brand new life. For their first night, Danilo books the most expensive hotel he can find. But the receptionist takes one look at their shabby appearance and nearly throws them out, assuming they are beggars. Insulted, Danilo asks how much the most expensive room costs. The receptionist mocks him. So Maria asks a better question. How much would it cost to buy the entire hotel, building, and everything inside. The receptionist board says about 35 million euros. With total confidence, Maria says she will buy it in cash. Now that they own the hotel, the family settles in. The grandmother wants to learn Arabic, and Danilo wants to cook in his own room. The room attendant, Gustavo, explains that rich people never cook for themselves, and hotel rooms have no kitchens. In the end, the hotel installs a full kitchen right in their room, and Gustavo himself ends up cooking for them. Their habits do not change at all. Marcelo even keeps farming inside the hotel. And that is where Marcelo meets a sweet attendant named Milan, who is fascinated by the crossbred fruit he grows. His heart flutters every time she speaks. But when he tries to impress her with his new car, Milan makes one thing very clear. She does not like rich people. So when a stranger walks up and simply takes Marcelo's car, Marcelo forces himself to let it go, rather than reveal his wealth. Milan shrugs it off, sure the car was not even his. Milan asks what Marcelo is doing at the hotel, and he claims he is just a poor farmer delivering vegetables currently out of work. Milan mentions the head chef is looking for a dishwasher, and so to stay close to her, Marcelo agrees to pretend to be a poor dishwasher, waiting on the very same wealthy family he actually belongs to. The head chef and the staff openly say he has the face of a poor man and warn him not to make a single mistake. While Marcelo scrubs dishes, the rest of the family lives the dream. On Maria's birthday, Danilo hires the famous Italian singer Albano to perform just for her. Little by little, their lifestyle spirals into pure luxury. Maria collects jewelry, Tamara tips supermarket workers, and Danilo buys 10 Ferraris. So many that he never bothers retrieving one that gets towed. But Kevin has been tracking every euro. They used to earn 300 euros a month. Now they are burning through 18 million euros a month, and at that rate, the money could run out before the year is over. On top of that, Maria is basically keeping Albano locked in their room just to hear him sing every morning. Kevin is terrified, but nobody wants to listen. Marcelo keeps struggling to hide his double life. He steals his family's fancy birthday cake for Milan, knowing they will never finish it. When Maria notices his dishwashing gloves, he claims he was giving a friend a massage. Somehow they believe him. A co-worker keeps reporting him for abandoning his post, and the head chef checks his station 3 separate times, only to conclude that Marcelo simply has a very common face and cannot possibly be in 2 places at once. Everything nearly falls apart when Danilo walks into the kitchen to grab his cake and spots Marcelo. Cornered, Marcelo finally admits he has been posing as a dishwasher to win over a beautiful attendant and begs Danilo to keep quiet. Danilo agrees, but only after Marcelo promises never to meddle in his life, never to ask for money beyond hotel expenses, and never to move into the apartment. Danilo is happy since the saved money means he can watch more Formula One. That evening, Marcelo finally learns why Milan hates the rich. She was once wealthy as a child, but her father abandoned her and ran off with a richer woman, and she has resented the wealthy ever since. Marcelo swears to himself he will keep his secret forever, but the lies keep piling up. The next morning, Milan is sent to deliver breakfast to room 136, which happens to be Marcelo's room. He panics in the bathroom and steps out with a towel over his face just to sign for it. Then Milan recognizes his shirt by its scent. Marcelo claims he was so exhausted he just wandered into an empty room. As she warns him he could be arrested, the real trouble walks in. It is the same man who took Marcelo's car earlier. Milan assumes he is just grabbing a forgotten wallet, and Marcelo says nothing as the man takes everything and leaves. Meanwhile, Danilo's life is drowning in wealth. He proudly shows off his new apartment, complete with a pizza frita station for Maria, a private photo booth for Tamara, a personal ATM machine, a private cinema for the grandmother, and the finest bookshelf money can buy for Kevin. They have hired staff from the 8-star hotel and own 25 robot vacuums. Yet Maria still feels something is missing. What they lack, she decides, is rich friends on their level, because what is the point of money if you cannot show off? So Danilo asks Gustavo how rich people behave. Gustavo explains that the wealthy never run tabs at the corner shop, always send their children to school abroad, and love attending shabby-looking exhibitions where the real artistry supposedly lies. And no rich person eats pizza frita the way this family does. Sure enough, the family soon finds itself at a bizarre exhibition themed entirely around junk and scrap, where guests are taught to price garbage by its smell. Danilo mingles happily, bragging that he used to see these very items at the market when he was poor. At one point, he mistakes a blank canvas priced at 10 million euros for a guest book and nearly signs it, leaving his relatives scrambling to replace it.
No, ma siete impazziti, ma che cosa avete fatto?
Che sarà mai? C'è sta ancora un sacco di spazio.
While the family plays rich, Marcelo finally feels at peace, earning an honest wage and spending Christmas Eve with the woman he hopes to marry. But Valen has an idea he never saw coming. She wants to celebrate Christmas with his supposedly poor family back in the village. Marcelo tries every excuse, but that only makes her want to give them a gift more. So he rushes to Danilo and confesses. The family has to pretend to be dirt poor for Valen. The poorer they look, the better. Danilo rents a tiny house just in time. Valen meets Marcelo's destitute family who barely afford a meal and do not even own a proper mattress. And she is thrilled that she can accept Marcelo just as he is. But when she opens Maria's expensive Christmas gift, she is puzzled how a poor family could afford it. Then, as Danilo claims their old tube television is their only valuable possession, a news report about the lottery win flashes across the screen. In that instant, Marcelo cannot cover it up anymore. Valen realizes she has been deceived. She hates rich people, and she hates liars even more. And no matter how hard Marcelo chases after her, she is far too hurt to turn back. Marcelo no longer wants to return to the apartment, blaming the lottery for everything. But Danilo barely notices, throwing a lavish party and inviting every wealthy guest from the exhibition. There he meets a Formula One agent who claims he can get Danilo VIP access to the circuit. Kevy comes asking for 30,000 euros to buy a Rolex, jealous of a classmate, and Danilo simply hands over his credit card. Maria, meanwhile, wants to network with art collectors to seem more prestigious. But then the smell of pizza frita drifts through the party, and Maria is horrified to find Danilo cooking it in the open. She scolds him for dragging down their dignity. Danilo fires back that the whole party is pointless if they cannot be themselves, and asks how pizza frita is any stranger than an expensive blank painting. Maria snaps that he still thinks like a poor man, and if he cannot fit in, he should leave. She even reminds him that without her lottery ticket, he would never have been rich at all. So Danilo walks out. After a night sleeping outside, Danilo wants to apologize, but Gustavo tells him Maria already went out with her new girlfriends. Gustavo offers some wisdom. Money can make people happy, but if a person is not ready for it, that same money can destroy them. Then he asks the important question, does Danilo not have a dream of his own? Suddenly, Danilo remembers he has never watched Formula One as a VIP. So he goes straight to the agent and pays 30,000 euros, the last of his savings, for a trip to the Monte Carlo circuit in 1 week. The agent tempts him with an extra offer. For another 100,000 euros, dozens of female attendants will greet him for 3 nights straight. Since Maria threw him out, Danilo agrees and borrows her personal credit card to pay for it. On the morning of his flight, Danilo arrives to find the building completely empty. A janitor tells him this is just a public space available for rent, not an office. In that instant, Danilo realizes every last euro he owns is gone. At the very same time, Maria overhears her new friends gossiping viciously about her behind her back. That is when they finally understand what they truly lost. Not the money and not the rich friends. Money itself had driven them apart. Blinded by wealth, they had thrown away the peace of mind that had been with them since the days when they had nothing. The next day, Danilo gathers the family and apologizes. They have nothing left except a van and the house back in the village, all because he was conned. Maria refuses to let him carry the blame alone, admitting it was also her fault for never listening to Kevy. But at least she says they never lost each other. And so they say goodbye to Gustavo, thanking him for helping bring the family back together, and head home to the village. Marcelo, still heartbroken, keeps trying to earn Valen's forgiveness. He tells her his family is no longer rich, and that he bought her gift with his very first paycheck as a dishwasher. Moved by his honesty and his hard work, Valen finally takes him back, because deep down she still loves him no matter what. Danilo feels the same relief with his own son. He feared Kevy would be furious, but instead Kevy is happier this way, because at least now the family is whole again. And here is where the real twist lands. It turns out Kevy engineered the entire swindle. It was never a real con at all. The 130,000 euros his father handed over is still safely in Kevy's hands. The janitor at the empty building was Gustavo in disguise. The money Kevy supposedly needed for a Rolex was actually used to rent the building and hire an actor to play the fake Formula One agent. Kevy did it all to stop his family from destroying themselves. And from there, their lives end up better than ever. Back at the cheese factory, Danilo is even named the most diligent employee. Finally, Kevy surprises his mother. Gustavo returns to work for the family, and they cannot believe he is willing to do it for free. But Gustavo is the one who is confused, because Danilo bought the entire hotel, which technically makes Gustavo his personal servant. As a gift, Danilo even brings in the grandmother's favorite Arab performer.
È 'Era un mio vicino. Entrata là che si perde il finale. La.
In the end, the Tucci and Marcello families are happier than they have ever been. They choose a quiet life in the village with the same simple ways they always had. The only difference is that every single week they quietly earn around 200,000 euros in passive income from the hotel, now managed by Kevi and Gustavo. No debts, no one owing them anything, and no one having the slightest idea that they are still wealthy people who simply chose to live a simple life. So the moral of the story is, if your kid starts managing the family budget, just accept it. He's probably already running a secret billion-dollar life lesson while you're busy buying 10 Ferraris.